I am back. Today we're going to talk about invertebrates, but we're going to review briefly and then go back to talking about annelids, which are segmented worms and mollusks today. So, animal characteristics. Most animals have the following characteristics. They're multicellular, meaning they're made up of many cells. Heterotrophic or heterotrophs, meaning they eat other organisms. And they're mobile or have mobility, meaning they can move to find food, shelter, and refuge or a place of safety. Another important thing about animals, we think about symmetry. So animals have something called symmetry. Like if you had a piece of paper and you had a square, there's a place or a point that you fold the square down the middle, and that's a line of symmetry. So symmetry means the animals look identical down a dividing line. There are different types of symmetry. You have something called bilateral symmetry, meaning if you draw a line down the middle of a body, each side looks the same. And probably similar to what our human body, which is really gory. No one's going to draw a line down the middle and fold this in half. You have radial symmetry, which means there are identical parts around a circle. Jellyfish and stars are like that. Starfish are like that. Asymmetrical animals are animals without symmetry. A narwhal, because it has a big old horn or something hanging out. And if unicorns were real, I don't think we would be able to split it down the middle. Other types of asymmetrical animals that we've already talked about are sponges. Invertebrates are animals without backbones. Invertebrates include sponges, clams, lobsters, grasshoppers, jellyfish, sea anemones, remember Nemo, anemone, and then planarians. The vast majority of animal species are considered to be invertebrates. So most of the animals are invertebrates. Now, this is our new kingdom or our new phylum that we're going to talk about today, and it's called phylum Mollusca. And we get a group of animals called mollusks, which are invertebrates. Normally, mollusks have shells. They have things called mantles that cover the mollusk's body. And if, for those mollusks that have shells, the mantle secretes or make the shell for the mollusk. So those are just important things. So the mollusks are invertebrates. They have shells. They have mantles that cover them, which secrete or make the shell. The mantles secrete or make the shell. And that's just a nice picture of a little clam shell or some type of mollusk. So mollusks have their bilateral symmetry. Would you find mollusks in hot, dry areas? No, because their bodies are soft and would dry out. Keep in mind there are three major groups of mollusks, which include gastropods, bivalves, and cephalopods. Pod meaning foot. We remember that when we study the amoebas and the parameciums and the euglenas, and we said foot. One of them had the pseudopod. The amoeba had the pseudopod, which means pod means foot. So gastropods, and gastro means stomach. So I'm willing to believe that gastropod means that these organisms have a stomach and a foot that does something. Mollusks also are bivalves. Bi means two, so two openings. And cephalopods. Cephalon means head and pod means foot. So there's something going on with the head and the foot. So gastropods have a single shell or no shell and a distinct head. Snails have external shells and they use feet to crawl. And you see our little picture of Gary. Gary, please come home. I don't know how a snail can run away if they move that slow. But snails have external shells. They are gastropods, meaning they have a single shell or no shell and a distinct head. And I have simplified it for you because this is sixth grade science. So there's some more stuff. I promise you a whole lot more stuff if you was in a college class that you would go over. Bivalves have two external shells and they have simple nervous systems. Bivalves have a simple nervous system, have external shells, and use feet to dig. And if you can see right here, there's a picture of the little clam, and that clam there has two shells. So they're open up. Oysters also would be like a bivalve. Our next type of mollusk is cephalopods. They have external, internal, or no shells, and they have large brains and good visions. Squids are cephalopods with one internal shell, and they use their feet to catch prey. Now we're going to get into another phylum called annelids. So annelids are still invertebrates. They're segmented worms. Segmented worms, aka annelids, have bodies made up of repeating rings of segments. They have closed circulatory systems because so we're getting into more complex animals that have circulatory systems like we do. And we know the circulatory system has to do with the heart. It's also in our bodies is known as the cardiovascular system, meaning they have some type of system that allows their blood to go through their body. Annelids or segmented worms have a mouth for eating, and they have an anus for expelling waste. So phylum annelids are segmented worms. Earthworms and leeches are annelids. And you can probably go in the backyard somewhere your parents allow you to dig up and you're gonna find some earthworms out there somewhere if you live sort of in a country area. You're definitely gonna find them if you look for them. Earthworms live in soil and they eat organic material or matter out of the soil. Earthworms carry out gastric change through the skin, and they are slimy covered with mucus. So let's review. We have mollusks, bivalves, gastropods, annelids, and cephalopods. And our last little thing we need to discuss is there's a lab called squid propulsion. You can try this at home. Or we could call it cephalopod propulsion. But what happens is you take a balloon, you need a sink, and you need water. You need time, 10 to 15 minutes. Fill a balloon with water, pinch the neck to keep the water from flowing. Put the balloon in the sink full of water, immerse it completely, and then let it go. What happened? Explain. The balloon should propel forward. How is a cephalopod like a balloon? Right. The balloon models how squids or cephalopods move in the water. So the cephalopods get water caught up into their system, and then when they let it go, it propels them. And that concludes our lesson. Hopefully, I'll see you on next time.